Don't know if you can see all the mosquitoes around me. I'm not actually getting bitten too much, but they're just around me. This boat doesn't have a keel or a rudder, so it doesn't track that well. That's why you turn so easily when you're not paddling. The wind will take it, or whatever you did on your last stroke will just continue. This wouldn't be very good against even a moderate current or in a wind. Right now it's dead calm. I think tomorrow the weather report was saying winds of only 4 kilometers an hour out of the north-northwest. Now I'm thinking that would be coming in from offshore. Because of the trees and stuff, it may just negate it. You can probably see that every time I take a stroke, the boat goes. There's a little bit of a knack to it when you try to really take a strong stroke. See, it really turns. So what I do is just take slower, less powerful strokes, but more of them. When I say slow, I mean pulling in the water. See, I stopped paddling. Just did a 180. Well, I just moved camp. Maybe 200 yards down. There's only 2 camps for hikers here. This one is a lot more conducive to a boat landing, getting water to cook with, and most importantly a tarp. There's a nice little spot, as you will see in a moment. Well, all that moving pooped me out. It's 11:31. I've already been over to High Falls, and I moved camp. To nap or not to nap? That is the question. I think if anything, I just need to sit still for a little while. It's actually not a bad day. It has stopped raining, but it's cloudy, but it looks like the sun is trying to break through. It would be nice if you get a bit of sun, that way I could dry a few things out, like the tent, the outside of the tent. Could use a little bit of a dry. Well, when in doubt, let's just have a little bit of let's have a nip. Fireball cinnamon whiskey. Yeah, it's 11:32. Still haven't seen anybody. Oh, that's nice. I think I'm going to be quite a bit more comfortable tonight, especially if it rains, because now I've Got this little ledge here to sit. The only thing is it's a bit damp here. That's why I put down a garbage bag to put a bunch of my stuff on. Life could be a lot worse. Well, so far this is the longest solo backcountry camp hike that I've had. I've only done one night in Saudi Arabia, mostly because of access to water. And to tell the truth, there's really nothing to do there. I mean, you camp. What do you do all day? You either get up and hike again. Oh, there's a little chipmunk. That's another thing I like about this particular camp. My other one didn't have a chipmunk. This one does. I'm just hoping he doesn't gnaw his way through any of my stuff. So, yeah, usually what I do is in Saudi Arabia, I park the car around 2ish. I hike in 10 to 12 kilometers, set up camp. And it's usually dark fairly soon, so I'm in bed early. I'm up really early. I'm having breakfast, packing up and walking back to the car, so I leave the car around 2 and I get back to the car maybe 9. I just thought I heard, trying to figure out how close we are to a road. There's some big lumber trucks that roll down here, but it could also be lightning, but I don't think so. So this is a 2-nighter, and my next one is going to be a 3-nighter, but it's only going to be pack rafting on starting on Sek Lake, Little Canoe Lake, and then there's another one. I still buy my permit at Sand Lake. So I'll come in, get the permit, and I'll actually backtrack a little bit to go into Sek Lake. Sort of like this one. This one isn't particularly intense. I just wanted to see how everything works and see how I adjust to everything. I mean, I'd hate to get out and decide, oh, this is a big mistake. I want to go home. So it's always nice to be fairly close in case I want to go home. It's not like it's a 2-day trip to get back to the car. Here it's, if I walked it's 9K, but if I take the pack raft I think it's only 6K. So assuming the conditions are like today, it should be pretty nice. I'll just boat it along the shore. That way I'll get to see some of the camping spots. I may see a few canoes, but I may not. That's going to be the same as my 3-nighter. I put in on Sek Lake, and my camp spot is on Sek Lake. The next day I'm at Little Canoe Lake, which is a portage of only, I think 500 or 600. I've yet to portage this boat. And then the third day it's going to be getting out of Little Canoe Lake, which is the portage back to Sek Lake, and then to the top of the lake, a small portage into, I can't even remember the name of the lake, but I think both Little Canoe and this other lake, the campsites are not maintained. I'm not quite sure exactly what that'll mean, because these ones here, I was expecting barbecue grills and all sorts of stuff, and a little bit better set up. From what I've seen on YouTube, some of the camping spots, interior camping spots, seem to be a bit better than these ones. Anyway, I'm still trying to decide, should I nap or should I just chill? I think I may just chill, and then if I get more tired I'll nap. I'm hoping to see that chipmunk again. I got some peanuts. A bit later today I'm going to go back to High Falls and do some fishing. I'm trying to decide if I want to take the camera or not. It's a real pain in the ass when you think about it. All the equipment I carried, Plus I've got this new tripod that weighs 2 pounds. It's a light one, but it's still 2 pounds. I've got this new Canon M50 mirrorless camera. That's all I've been using so far, even though I brought one GoPro and the accessories. The GoPro will be when there's chances of water damage or, getting wet. I'm going to try to do as much as I can on this one. Again, this is the first time I've used this camera on a hike. I bought it just before I left Saudi Arabia. So that's new, the tripod's new, the boat's new, tarp's new. I've never used a tarp before. I've had it in Saudi Arabia, but there are trees and wadis, but they're lone trees. You need 2 trees. Well, I suppose you could set a tarp up, I think it's a diamond configuration. You only need 1 tree. You use the tree and then it'll come down, and then you'll put a peg in the ground and do the 2 sides. So maybe I'll try that one. The problem is it's pretty windy there, so I don't know how that would hold out. Anyway, maybe I'm digressing a little bit, but I figure just sitting down is a good time to talk. There are a lot of bugs around, but I'm not really getting bit. I seem to get bit more when I'm walking around and sort of sweating. Because here they're all buzzing. They're not really touching me. I put repellent around my face and my hands. But, I mean, even last night, quite a few got in my tent when I woke up to take a pee. Twice I woke up to take a pee. The second time I was out for a little bit longer, just checking everything around camp, and quite a few got in, and I got bitten, but not by half as many as I thought I would. I was actually worried about the mosquitoes. I'm not really worried about a bear. I say that now, I haven't seen one, but I said, shit, what if mosquitoes and maybe even black flies are out in abundance? It'd drive me crazy. That's the thing I worry about, is if you're not protected, mosquitoes are around, it's a little chickadee or something. This spot actually has more life than over there. I think maybe because it's kind of a bit more open. Yeah, I think nothing would be worse than uncontrollable mosquitoes and black flies. That would drive you crazy quick enough. The thing is, yesterday after the slog in here, I was pretty tired when I got here, so I didn't have the energy to walk back if I wanted to. And I actually thought I was going to get mosquitoes really bad, because on the trail in, which is in the bush, every time I stopped, mosquitoes were everywhere. I mean, swarming around me, but they weren't really biting too badly. And I got to camp, and there seems to be less. Maybe it's the water. It's not particularly windy, so who knows. Anyway, again, I digress, talking a lot of shit. Anyway, that's it for now. Well, I went fishing. Didn't catch anything. Didn't get any bites. Lost a couple lures. By the slide, the water chute, on the other side there's a piece of rope which I think people use to pull themselves out of the water. Well, I got one of my lures hooked on that. I had to cut the line. With quite a bit of line dangling. Then I casted another lure into the rapids close to that, and it got tangled on the line that I had cut previously. And I had to cut that one. So I lost a Rapala and I lost a Mepps. Well, anyway, I'm eating some wild rice, and then I think I'm going to have a nap. Oh. That is hot. Take a look at that setup. Got my socks and stuff hanging, got the tarp overhead. And this looks out over the lake. A few trees in the way. It's turned out to be a beautiful day. The sun has kind of come out a few times. It's still cloudy, but actually I see blue sky in front of me, cloudy sky behind me. So I'm hoping it's going to be a nice evening and then a nice day tomorrow. I am using Palm Gradient boots. I'm not sure what they call them, boat shoes, paddling shoes, but they're made to get wet. They have Vibram soles. And they're soft enough that they won't really cause too much damage to your boat. Now, I hiked in with these. I hiked 9 kilometers with them. And I wore regular hiking socks. You know, a thin inner layer and a thick outer layer. But when I've been in the boat, I pair them up with waterproof socks. So my feet will stay dry, but the boots will get wet. And they seem to dry pretty quickly. And these are my camp shoes. I had some flip-flops, but they don't really provide the traction and a few other things for being around here. The thing about flip-flops is, one, they're really slippery and they don't provide any support, and they're pretty easy to blow out. So I'm really happy with these, the Palm Gradient boots. I bought them online, and this is actually the first time I've actually used them. They're great for inside the boat. You know, for when you... The thing about the pack raft is, it's difficult to get out of. Actually, to get in and get out of. You tend to get your feet wet. So these are the answer for that. And because I'm at a hiking camping spot rather than made for canoes, it doesn't really have a good access point. On my way home tomorrow, I'm gonna check out some of the canoe spots, and I'm guessing the access is a little bit better, maybe rocks, easier to get in and out of. But generally canoes are easier to get out of anyway. So we'll see. Well, I did decide to get a fire going after all. It is my last night, even though it's actually pretty warm. Gee, nothing like sitting around a fire. Took a while to get going. The wood is so damp from all the rain we had last night. I had to start with a whole bunch of birch bark, and most of it was off of dead fallen trees, so I had to peel pieces and rub it together, because all the really nice leafy loose birch bark has been stripped off all the trees. There goes a merganser. I've seen quite a few mergansers around. I haven't seen anybody, still haven't seen anybody, but I heard somebody today, a dog barking and somebody yelling happy birthday. I think it was coming from the falls, or along the path to the falls. But that was just I was expecting, oh, I'm going to hear lots of yelling and stuff, but that's all I heard. That was while I was having a nap. I'm glad I brought my Kobo e-reader. It's nice and light when you're alone sitting at camp in the evenings, besides talking to you. It's nice to sit down and read. I mean, as it is, even in the city, I probably read at least an hour a day. At least an hour a day. I read in the bathtub in the morning and in bed. I'll go to bed and I'll read until I fall asleep. It's a great way to fall asleep. It's a great way to learn things too, even if it's fiction. There's always something to learn from a book. I got 100 milliliters of Fireball I gotta finish tonight. I've got some Drambuie too, but that's not going down that well. I had a bit too much food. I didn't need the 8 ounces of canola oil. Here I was thinking, oh, I'm going to catch some fish. Well, if I did catch fish, I would have had more food to bring home with me. So I'll be more prepared for for my next trip. I mean, really, it's not a bad thing to have too much food. You know, as long as it doesn't weigh too much. I'm going to have at least one dehydrated meal left over. Those are always good for emergencies because they're, cheers, big ears, because they're so light. I've got some spicy Genoa sausage. I'm about halfway through that. I brought 4 pepperettes. I've got one left. I've got some cheese curds. I'm most of the way through that. I had a cup of rice for lunch, wild rice. That was filling. I mean, I couldn't eat it all. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how much to bring with me. Probably half a cup would have done it. I'm not a big eater anyway. Live and learn. I'm drinking lots of water. This is my Grail water purifier. It's great because the purifier is the water bottle, so you don't need a water bottle and a purifier. Well, this has been so far it's been a good trip. Despite all the rain. I mean, it wasn't windy and it wasn't a torrential rain. It was light to moderate, but it was consistent. Kind of funny, when I moved camp, the only two dry spots in my old camp were the tent footprint and the tarp footprint. I'm glad I brought that tarp. I almost didn't. When I was leaving Ottawa, it weighs maybe 2 pounds. It's 10 by 10, 10 feet by 10 feet, 100% waterproof. Weighs, I think, almost 2 pounds. So it's not a trivial weight, and when I was hauling it in, I was thinking, oh, I need to get a really ultralight tarp. Well, ultralight if it's 100% waterproof, yes, and it's tough. And this is only the second tarp shelter I've ever set up. Well, I did a few in my backyard in Saudi Arabia. The one over there, it wasn't a very good location. This is why I picked this spot. There's two trees, and there's a couple stumps in the back, so I was able to keep it up pretty high so I could get my tent underneath it. Tonight I'm thinking of taking off my the rain tarp on the tent. I don't need it because I'll be protected from the rain with the tarp. We'll see. That's the lightweight tripod I brought with me. It's called a Mi Photo. It weighs 2 pounds. It extends, I think it's either 6 foot or 6'6". The legs can be adjusted, I think, about 3 or 4 different angles, and they extend. The centerpiece goes up. Actually, the centerpiece, you can take it off the main frame and it'll turn into a selfie stick. So it's pretty well all you need. It was about maybe $100. And that's how small it folds up. The only thing missing on that is the tripod mount that's on my camera that I'm holding right now. Just to give you a sense of scale, there's my hand. I walked with it when I hiked in here, so I didn't have it in my pack. I was using this whole thing as a selfie stick. It comes with a mount for a cell phone, and it comes with a Bluetooth remote that you can pair with your camera. Let's just have a quick tour. Fireplace, seat by the fireplace. So this is when it's not raining, a nice place to sit. I moved the pack raft over. I don't want it to get hit with any burning embers. Got my St. Croix ultralight fishing rod. Goes into 4 pieces. Let's see, I've got a Shimano, what the hell is it called? Sedona 2500. Got my PFD. On my PFD, I've got a whistle, got a little pair of scissors. I've got a sort of forceps for taking the hooks out of the mouth of a fish. There's a flashlight in there, waterproof. And so you can see how I've got my tarp set up. So I've got the ridge line. I've got 4 Prusaks, and they're just tied on with little wooden dowels, whatever you call them. There's a tent. Pretty difficult to see the tent from the water, same as the tarp, just because of the color. This is the back end. It's a little saggy, but beggars can't be choosers. Now that's a point where you could be walking through, so I put a little bit of blaze orange marker tape so you don't trip on a piece of paracord. I'm the type of person that would trip on a piece of paracord. It's only me, even though I set it up. This is actually a very comfortable spot. It's a lot nicer than the first spot, which is just down. That Helinox chair is not the best thing for this soft topsoil, I guess it is. It keeps digging in the ground, and at one point when I dug it out, one of the rubber end stoppers was left in the ground. It was caught in a root and I actually had to use my knife to dig it out. It's always nice to mount your pack sack up. Perhaps that's just a little bit high. You want to really put it at a height where you can easily get at everything. I've got my jacket hanging up there too. I've got my rain suit hanging up here. I used that this morning when I went over to High Falls, even though it wasn't raining, everything was soaking wet. So I was actually pretty wet when I finished with that. That's my food bag that I hang up. Yeah, there's my canola oil. Look at the size of that, and the only thing I've used it for is when I was trying to cook popcorn. So that's probably, well, it's at least 8 ounces, if not maybe a pound of weight that I didn't need to slog. I've got my Garmin InReach right here. I just recharged it. I haven't turned it off since I got here. And this is my Garmin GPS. I haven't needed that today. I used it yesterday. And I just got things hanging. It's always nice to hang stuff up. I wear when I'm hiking, 2 pairs of socks. One thin inner layer. And this is a regular pair of hiking socks I wear on the outside. And these are my waterproof socks. They're inside out at the moment. I need to actually turn them right side out and let the other side dry. I've got an Anker solar charger. Haven't used it. Hasn't been sunny enough. And even if it really was sunny, I'm surrounded by trees, so I'd have to be fighting for areas of where the sun is. Beaver. Hope not to scare him. Besides man, beaver is the only animal that changes its environment to suit itself through the form of dams, their lodges. So what they do is they'll dam a river or a stream, which will turn into a pond or a lake, and they'll attract other water creatures, most notably ducks and geese and everything else that lives in swamps and marshes and lakes and things. So if you wonder where I went, I just went to the Thunderbox. That's a great thing about Algonquin Park. It is so comfortable. I'm used to digging a cat hole, squatting down, doing my business and burying it. But that's actually not why I wanted to talk to you. I did end up taking off the rain fly. So now it's just like a big mosquito net, except for the bathtub around the sides, which is, as I discovered last night, 100% waterproof. So it's going to be great. I'll be able to see all around me. Of course, I've got the tarp up top, so if it does rain, I'm covered.